Hi, I'm Olivia, and today's happy nugget comes from Roberto Gomez Bolaños, otherwise known as Chespirito, the legendary Mexican humorist, comedian, writer, actor, and director who brought us some of the most loved characters of all time, El Chavo del Ocho and El Chapulín Colorado. Roberto Gomez Bolaños was a creative genius, a true Renaissance man. His shows and timeless characters are the funniest, most wholesome, and popular around the world, broadcasting uninterrupted for the last 40 years in 60 different countries, translated into 50 different languages. Roberto Gomez Bolaños was such a brilliant and prolific scriptwriter, screenwriter, and dramatist. One of his colleagues called him Little Shakespeare, or Shakespearito, which turned into the nickname Chespirito. The love and worldwide frenzy of the public for Chespirito and his comic ensemble was unprecedented for comedians. In Chile, there was a 17-kilometer stretch of uninterrupted fans waiting for them from the airport to their hotel, as well as an 80,000 capacity stadium packed for all performances. In Argentina, the fans found a way to get into the actors' hotel rooms. In Peru, the army had to remove 50,000 fans who'd broken the airport fence and flooded the runway. In New York, Madison Square Garden performances were sold out. Performances were routinely sold out in every venue, in every city and country Chespirito and his ensemble visited. There's an incredible joy, silliness, playfulness, and overall goodness in Chespirito's characters, with stories of morality and values that not only have you laughing until it hurts, but they also teach you something. My favorite Chespirito character, El Chapulín Colorado, which roughly translates to red grasshopper, is a bumbling superhero whose fear leads to everything going wrong. But in the end, he always finds a way to triumph. In an interview, speaking of El Chapulín Colorado, Chespirito said, "I had offered it to a good number of actors, maybe 4 or 5 famous comedians, or who were close to stardom, and they all rejected it. Courage is not about lacking fear. It's about overcoming fear. El Chapulín Colorado did so, knowing he was small, silly, weak, clumsy, and with all those deficiencies taught by fear. But he would face the problem. That's a hero." Roberto Gomez Bolaños was born in 1929 in Mexico City. When he was 6 years old, his father died, leaving major debts. His mother struggled financially to raise Roberto and his 2 brothers, but in spite of the humble living circumstances, she provided them with love and discipline. Roberto had a wonderful childhood and adolescence, always cultivating loyal friendships. He was an avid athlete, an amateur boxer, and soccer player, which later contributed to the athleticism and agility of his characters. Roberto took life's unexpected turns and challenges with humor, dignity, and grace. In college, he decided to study engineering, supporting himself with odd jobs. But his lack of inspiration and boredom led him to answer a newspaper ad looking for radio and television producers and writers. Roberto intended to apply for the producing apprenticeship, but when he got there, there were 50 or 60 people in that line. When he looked to the writing line, there were 5 or 6 people. So he applied to that and got it. He loved the job and got to wear a variety of creative hats, writing everything from radio script dramas to advertising jingles. Roberto's talent for comedy was apparent, and he was asked to write the radio script for an up-and-coming pair of comedians called Viruta and Capulina. It was a hit, so he was asked to write for them for television. Roberto took Viruta and Capulina to the heights of success, making it the #1 show. In spite of this success, Roberto didn't earn much money and had to supplement his income with freelance writing projects to support his growing family, which eventually grew to be 5 daughters and a son. Roberto Gomez Bolaños was devoted to his family. He loved to watch his children grow up and use their mannerisms and tenderness in his characters. In 1970, when he was 41 years old, Roberto Gomez Bolaños got the opportunity to create a comedic sketch called La Mesa Cuadrada, or The Square Table, with many of the wonderful actors who would later star in his most famous shows. Chespirito always saw the best in everyone. He had incredible faith in his fellow colleagues and actors. While in those days, comedy featured a prima donna comedian on a pedestal on every show, Roberto believed in creating a cast of characters where each one would be of equal value and carry the same weight, making the comedic product and overall charisma of the performance 1,000 times more powerful. The success of the Square Table led to the creation of El Chavo del Ocho and El Chapulín Colorado. While these quickly achieved iconic success and fame, Roberto still didn't earn much money. One day, a rival television studio offered him the dream paycheck. Roberto Gómez Bolaños said he still had 8 weeks left of his contract. They said no problem, but called the next morning to say they wanted him to start immediately. After all, people break contracts all the time. As hard as it was, Roberto said, "I'm sorry, but I already have a commitment, and I'm going to honor it." Roberto Gómez Bolaños was a remarkable human being. In the best sense of the word, he was a gentleman, gracious, gallant, sincere, honorable, and so giving of himself, a loyal friend, a loving father, and a devoted artist. He was conscious of the impact and reach of his work, and didn't want to transmit any negativity or social damage. From his wonderful autobiography and hilarious autobiography, Sin Querer Queriendo, speaking of an anecdote about one of his daughters, Roberto Gómez Bolaños said, "I had discovered that my eldest daughter was a victim of great unrest. The situation worried me deeply until I armed myself with the courage to ask her the reason for this state of being. 'It's just that I don't like the career I'm studying,' she said, an ocean of tears, which made me sigh with deep relief. 'That's it?' I asked her, smiling. 'You think that's little?' she said, still with tears that filled those absolutely beautiful eyes she has. 'I spent years making you pay for these studies,' she added, 'and now I've come up with wanting to study something else.' I hugged her with all the tenderness I could give, filled her with kisses, and told her to study whatever she wanted, without worrying about the time or money that she thought was being lost. That what would be unforgivable would be taking the wrong path, knowing that's not what she longed for." Chespirito broke every record there was to break, in radio, television, cinema, and theater, with the highest ratings and viewership around the world. But he never received critical acclaim or awards from the Mexican media or artistic elite. But to Roberto Gómez Bolaños, the real reward was always the genuine love, respect, and joyous laughter of his audiences, tens of millions and millions of adoring fans around the world. In life, apart from love, there's nothing more important than laughter. Not the kind of laughter where you intentionally make fun of or cause pain, but the laughter that bursts out of the seams of your heart because you can't wait to share your joy with others. And that's today's Happy Nugget. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe. As always, I link below the video anything I recommend. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. See you next time.